Magandang gabi and welcome back to Bench and Bar Manila, a podcast made by Claude Fable 5. I'm attorney Ramon Delgado, trial litigator for 30 years, UP College of Law. As always, kasama ko si attorney Beatriz Santiago, constitutional law professor and appellate litigator. Bea, tonight is episode 3 and we are zooming out. The impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte has finished its first week. Pero tonight, we look at the bigger board. Two foreign powers, Washington and Beijing. The road to the 2028 elections and what is really happening in Philippine politics right now.
Magandang gabi, Mon, and to everyone listening. And tonight, we have a special guest. Pero linawin natin agad. Our guest is a fictional character. He is a composite, a retired American intelligence chief we are calling Director Thomas Garrett, voiced by artificial intelligence. He does not represent any real person, and certainly not the actual Central Intelligence Agency. Think of him as a dramatized window into how analysts in Washington see our region. Fiction ang character, pero the facts we discuss tonight are real and checked against the public record.
Director Garrett, salamat for joining us sa aming humble podcast. Let me start bluntly. When a retired CIA director looks at the Philippines in July 2026, what does he see?
Thank you, counselors. It's an honor. What do I see? I see the hinge of the Pacific. Your archipelago sits on the first island chain. That line of islands running from Japan through Taiwan down toward Borneo that shapes every military map in Washington and in Beijing. Whichever way the Philippines leans, that's who holds the door to the South China Sea and the approaches to Taiwan. So when your Senate opened an impeachment trial on July 6th, believe me, it was not just Filipinos watching. Both capitals had the live feed on.
Let's ground our listeners muna. Week 1 in review. The Senate convened as an impeachment court on Monday, July 6th. Senator judges in crimson robes. 4 articles of impeachment. Article 4 accuses the Vice President of grave threats against President Marcos, the First Lady, and former Speaker Martin Romualdez. Remember, this is her second impeachment. The first was halted by a Supreme Court ruling last year. This week, we saw the NBI agent's testimony on the so-called kill threat video and his cross-examination. The defense arguing that the threat is not a high crime. A sealed box of the Vice President's tax records deposited with the clerk of court, and the bombshell, the prosecution revealing it intends to call the Vice President herself to the witness stand.
And the arithmetic, Bea, huwag nating kalimutan. 24 senator judges in the chamber. Conviction requires 16 votes, 2/3. May komplikasyon pa. Some senator judges are detained on plunder charges and the courts are still resolving how they attend. Conviction does not only remove her from office, it disqualifies her from future office. That director is the 2028 connection. So let me ask, why does Beijing care about a Philippine impeachment trial?
Because of the calendar, counselor. President Marcos is term limited. 1 6-year term, no re-election. Your own palace said it out loud this week. If the vice president is acquitted, she can run in 2028. Risk analysts, Eurasia Group among others, still call her the odds-on favorite. Her father ran a China-friendly foreign policy, and if the daughter returns to that line, the American Alliance Network in Asia loses a link. Analysts at the Council on Foreign Relations will tell you plainly, Beijing wants that network loosened because it changes the math on Taiwan. So to Beijing, this trial was never about Article 4. It's about who answers the phone in Malacañang in 2028.
And Mon, ang framing ko, 2 powers, parehong self-interested. America is our treaty ally under the 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty, and under EDCA, its forces rotate through agreed Philippine bases. Just this week, Defense Secretary Teodoro proposed raising defense spending to as much as 4% of GDP, citing the China tension. And how did Beijing respond to Secretary Teodoro earlier? sanctions against him and even his relatives over what it called erroneous remarks. Sanctioning the sitting defense secretary of a neighbor. Sabihin na natin, that tells you the temperature.
Let's talk about how Beijing actually operates because it's subtler than most people imagine. For roughly 6 months, your Coast Guard reported unusual quiet. No ramming, no water cannon, no blocked fishermen. Then a floating platform quietly appears inside Scarborough Shoal, your Panatag, with personnel aboard labeled Marine Scientific Research. Weeks later, after Manila files a diplomatic protest, it's towed away. I spent a career reading moves like that. In 1995, China built what it called fishermen's shelters on Mischief Reef, civilian structures, they promised. Today, Mischief Reef is a military fortress. The playbook is consistent. Place something small, deny its meaning, normalize its presence, then build. That platform was a probe of your reactions and of Washington's.
And legally, Director, ang linaw ng kaso namin. The 2016 Arbitral Award in Philippines versus China ruled that the 9-dash line has no basis in international law and that China violated the traditional fishing rights of Filipinos at Scarborough. The shoal sits roughly 200 kilometers off Luzon. China has held de facto control since 2012 and last year even declared it a so-called National Nature Reserve. Pero ito ang hard truth na sinasabi ko sa mga estudyante ko. The award is final, binding, and has no sheriff. Walang enforcement mechanism, which is why the diplomacy, the alliances, and yes, the Coast Guard cameras matter so much.
Right. And let me be fair to your skeptics, counselor, because they deserve honesty. America's interest is also self-interest. The alliance, the EDCA sites, the exercises, they serve American strategy on Taiwan at least as much as they serve Philippine defense. The lesson I took from 40 years in the business: small nations do best when they are clear-eyed about both suitors. An alliance is a tool, not an identity. But what should worry Filipinos more than ships, in my view, is the quieter contest: information.
Timely yan, Director. Just this week, Wire reports said Taiwanese voters are on alert for Chinese meddling and disinformation ahead of their November elections. Networks of fake local pages, recycled news stories, what researchers call cognitive warfare. Mon, 2028 will be our own referendum. And kung ganyan ang playbook sa Taiwan, dapat asahan natin ang local variants dito. Troll networks, proxies, dark money. Our institutions, the COMELEC, the courts, the press, will be stress-tested like never before.
Every great power in a country like yours does 3 things. It courts elites, it shapes narratives, and it buys leverage. Ports, power grids, loans, and campaign money that is never traceable. The defense is not slogans. It is boring things done well. Campaign finance transparency, real counterintelligence, a press that survives, and voters who ask who benefits before they share a post. If your 2028 is decided by Filipinos on Filipino interests, both Washington and Beijing can live with the result. The danger is an election decided in the shadows.
Balik tayo sa kasalukuyan bago tayo magtapos. Week 2 of the trial resumes. The prosecution continues presenting evidence. The defense will keep testing every exhibit. And the question in every coffee shop: will the Vice President herself take the stand? Presiding Officer Chis Escudero has run a tight formal court so far. Whatever your politics, ang proseso mismo: evidence, cross-examination, deliberation, votes. That is the Constitution working out loud.
At ito ang closing thought ko. The 2 powers will keep pressing. Platforms sa panatag, sanctions, bases, loans, narratives. Pero the strongest counterintelligence weapon of a democracy is not secret at all. It is legitimacy. An impeachment resolved on evidence. an election in 2028 decided on facts, institutions that citizens actually trust. Yan ang pinakamahirap na target for any foreign power.
I'll close with what I told every young analyst who walked into my office. Geography is destiny, but only half of it. The other half is choices. The Philippines has survived empires by being clear about its own interests. Keep the alliance while it serves you. Trade with China where it serves you. And never outsource your politics to either. That is not spycraft, counselors. That is sovereignty.
Director Thomas Garrett, fictional man siya, but the wisdom lands. Maraming salamat, sir. To our listeners, this has been Bench and Bar Manila, Episode 3, made by Claude Fable 5. Our characters are fictional and voiced by AI. The events and facts discussed are drawn from the public record as of July 12, 2026. Hanggang sa muli, mag-ingat kayo, alamin ang totoo, and keep watching the process. Magandang gabi.